In the vibrant city of Uyo, there lived a young boy named Ubong. Ubong was the last child of his parents, so he was overly pampered by his mother, Idara. Idara was a cook for a local restaurant in the city, while her husband, Udo, was a construction worker. Even though Ubong's parents were not wealthy, they did their best to take good care of their 4 children. They enrolled them in affordable schools and provided all of their needs. But despite all their parents did to satisfy Ubong and his siblings, Ubong was still not satisfied. If his mother shared food equally between him and his siblings, Ubong would still ask for more or take other people's food. Aside from food, Ubong was never satisfied with anything. He was like the Oliver Twist of his family who always wanted more. At first, when Ubong started asking for more stuff, his parents believed that he acted that way because he was still a child, but as he grew older, they realized that Ubong had a serious problem. For example, in school, if Ubong saw something he liked that belonged to his classmates, he wouldn't even ask for it. Ubong would just steal it. When Ubong started returning home with stuff that did not belong to him, his mother, who was always the one cleaning his school bag, believed that Ubong had found them or that some of his classmates had given them to him. It never crossed her mind that Ubong had been stealing all those things until one day. That day, Ubong stole one of his classmates' children's storybook, and when he was caught, the teacher asked to see his mother. "God forbid, my son cannot be a thief," Idara said when the teacher told her they had found the missing book in Ubong's school bag. "Mrs. Idara, I know how you feel, but this is the truth. I didn't call you to embarrass you or say you didn't raise your child properly. I called you here so you can talk to your son and find a way to make him stop this horrible habit," the teacher said. "I still don't believe what you're telling me. There could have been a mix-up somewhere. Maybe he mistakenly put the book in his bag and forgot about it," Idara tried to defend her son. "Mrs. Idara, what if I told you that this isn't the first time we have found missing items in your son's possession? I don't want him to be victimized by his classmates, that's why we did this discreetly," Ubong's teacher said. "You're his mother, don't you search his bag when he returns from school? If you want doing that, you need to start doing it. So you can see if he returns home with things that do not belong to him," Ubong's teacher added. "Thank you. I have heard everything you said. I will try my best to watch him," Idara thanked the teacher and left. Idara did not tell the teacher that she had been finding strange stuff in Ubong's school bag because she feared his teacher was right. That day, on their way home, Idara did not say anything to Ubong or ask him any questions. She wanted to be sure she wasn't jumping to conclusions, but unluckily for her, something terrible happened that evening. Later that evening, when Udo, Ubong's father, returned home, he left some money on his room's table and went to have his bath, but when he returned, the money was gone. "Coco, did you take the money I kept on the table?" Udo asked Idara, but she said no. "So, if you did not take the money on the table, then who did?" Udo asked. "If there is a thief in my house, I will teach the person a lesson today," Udo added. Without wasting time, Udo called all his children, and he asked them one after the other if anyone had taken money from his room. "Daddy, it's not me. Oh, I didn't see any money," Ubong's siblings said one after the other. "Is it you, Ubong? Did you take money from that table?" Udo thundered. "Daddy, it's not me. Oh, why would I take money from your table?" Ubong lied. "You know what? All of you should wait here. I will go into your room and search inside your bags. If I find my money in any of your bags, then I will teach you the corporate lesson he or she will never forget," Udo growled, and then he stormed into his children's shared room. As Udo had said, he searched all their bags, including their school bags, and just as he was about to give up, he accidentally found the money under Ubong's pillow. "Ubong, come here," Udo yelled immediately. "Is this not the money I am looking for? What is it doing under your pillow?" Udo asked. "Oh, Daddy, I don't know. Oh. I swear I didn't take your money, Ubong said. So, the money developed wings and flew to this room. You must think that I'm foolish, Udo said, then he began to hit Ubong mercilessly. While Udo was hitting Ubong kept saying, Daddy, please, I didn't take your money, but Udo wouldn't listen. Coco, please, you have beaten him enough. I'm sure he will not do it again, Idara said. I'm leaving you because of your mother. Next time, you will not take what does not belong to you, Udo thundered, then he left Ubong. After the family had dinner together, Idara waited for all the children to sleep before she discussed the school incident with her husband. Coco, Ubong's teacher, asked to see me today, Idara said. Why? Is everything okay? Ubong asked. I don't think everything is okay. She called me because Ubong took his classmate's storybook, and after searching for it, they found it in his bag, Idara said. Do you mean he stole his classmate's book? Ubong asked in a confused tone. Yes. And I'm afraid this has been going on for a while now, and we had no idea, Idara said. Oh. My God. What has this boy become? I can't even imagine how embarrassed you were, Ubong said. It's not even the embarrassment I'm worried about. His teacher is a very kind person. I don't think his classmates knew they found it in his bag. She just wanted me to know so we can watch him and help him stop the bad habit, Idara said. But don't we give this boy everything? Sometimes, we even make it look like we love him more than we love his siblings just because he's the youngest, Ubong said. Honestly, I don't know what to do. Most of the time, when I clean his school bag, I find many things that are not his. Irrelevant things like old toys, broken pencils, broken sharpeners and some other things. But since he is still very young, I believe that he found them on the floor or his classmates gave them to him, Idara said. Did you talk to him about the book they found in his school bag? Udo asked. No, I haven't. I wanted to be sure first, but after what happened this evening, I'm convinced he took it, Idara said. Let me go and wake him. He will explain why he can't keep his hands to himself, Udo said, but before Idara could say another word, he had already left the room. Shortly after Udo left the room, he returned with Ubong, who was still half asleep. Ubong, wake up, I want to ask you some questions, Idara said. Okay, Mommy, I'm listening, Ubong said in a sleepy voice. You know that I saw your class teacher after school today, and she told me that they found your classmate's storybook in your bag. Why did you take the book? Idara asked. What book? Ubong asked innocently. Your classmate's storybook that was missing, Idara answered. I didn't take any storybook, I don't even know what you're talking about, Ubong answered. Look here, Ubong. I am not here to play with you. You better tell us the truth or I will deal with you this night. It's like the beatings you just received were not enough, Ubong yelled. But Daddy, I didn't take anything. I didn't even take your money this evening, Ubong said. You didn't take the money I found under your pillow. Udo backed, he was even about to spank Ubong when Idara stopped him. Coco, take it easy. This is not how we will get answers from him, Idara said. You said you didn't take the book, right? Don't worry, we will find out the truth, Idara said. When I was your age, did you know what they did to thieves? They would tie them up and beat them up. Is that what you want me to do to you? Udo asked. But Daddy, I didn't. Shush. Udo pressed his index finger against his lips. I don't want to hear you say you didn't take that book, or else I will slap you, he said. It's okay, Ubong, you can go back to bed, Idara said, and Ubong left. Does this boy think we are stupid? He better start telling the truth for his own good, Udo said. My husband, what do we do? He has denied taking the book, and I know his teacher would not lie against him, Idara said. Don't worry, we will soon find out the truth. For now, we need to watch him so he doesn't get into more trouble, Udo said. As the years passed, Udo and Idara continued to watch Ubong, and they hoped that he would stop stealing, but that never happened. In fact, things only became worse as Ubong would steal anything he saw in sight. If he attended a church where hymn books were placed on the church seats, Ubong would steal the hymn book and anything else he could find. The same applied to school. A few years after Ubong started his secondary school, his stealing got worse. He would steal chalk containers, dusters, and other unnecessary things. There was even one time Ubong tried to steal his teacher's inhaler. His teacher, Mrs. Onwana, was an asthmatic patient, and she carried an inhaler all the time. The craziest part was that Ubong stole things he would never use or sell. It wasn't like he stole to sell them and make a profit, he just stole them. Unfortunately, during his senior secondary school, his stealing got out of hand, and he was expelled from school. By this time, Ubong was already 17 years old and had been to 3 different schools, but they would end up expelling him because they could not tolerate his stealing. The thing about Ubong stealing that really annoyed his parents was that each time Ubong stole something and his parents asked him about it, he would say he was innocent and that he didn't remember stealing anything. Sometimes, Ubong would even be caught red-handed, but he would still deny stealing what he was caught with. For years, Ubong's father, Udo, tolerated Ubong and his shameful stealing. He tried everything to make Ubong stop. He threatened him, beat him several times, kicked him out of the house and even tried to talk to him as a father, but nothing worked. No matter what Ubong's parents and siblings did or said, Ubong would not stop stealing. Even Ubong was tired of people embarrassing him, and sometimes, he would cry to God to help him. But even after feeling remorseful for his act, the next day, Ubong would steal something again. "My husband, we have tried everything for this boy. At this point, I think this is beyond us. We need to get him help before he ends up in prison," Idara said to her husband one day. "Help that one. I have already accepted that nothing good can come out of him. He is a shame and embarrassment to this family. He couldn't even complete secondary school, all he does is disgrace himself," Udo said. Oh, Coco, why would you say a thing like that to your own child?" Idara asked in a disappointed tone. "What do you want me to say? Is he not your child, too?" Udo said. "So, just because he has a problem, you have already concluded that nothing good can come out of his life. That's very harsh of you," Idara said, but Udo ignored her. "So, I was suggesting. I think Ubong is under a spiritual attack because there's no other explanation for him stealing unnecessary things. The worst part is that he still denies it, even when caught red-handed. Maybe we should take him to a powerful prophet to pray for him," Idara said. After Idara said that, she expected Udo to say something or even agree with her, but instead, Udo burst into hearty laughter. "Coco, why are you laughing over this serious matter?" Idara asked in a disappointed tone. "That's the problem with you women. Any little problem you have, you will say it's spiritual, and you will end up taking your money to those your fake prophets," Udo said. "Coco, I don't like what you just said. If you didn't like the idea, you could have simply said so instead of insulting me," Idara said. "Woman, I am not insulting you. I am only speaking the truth. There is nothing spiritual about Ubong's problem. He is a thief, and that's it. What you should even do is to go back to your family people and ask if any of your ancestors was a thief, because I have been suspecting that this thing could be passed down in your bloodline," Udo said. "Udo, how dare you say such a thing? I am here trying to find a solution for our son, and you're saying nonsense," Idara yelled at him. "If you like, shout until tomorrow, the truth is always bitter," Udo said. With that, Idara got up angrily and left Udo. "Look at her, she is angry because I told her to go and investigate her family. You have not seen anything yet, Udo soliloquized. Even though Idara was deeply hurt by what Udo had said to her, she could not remain angry at him. Ubong's situation was urgent, and she needed to collaborate with her husband to find a solution quickly. Little did Idara know that very soon, Ubong would steal something that would nearly claim his life. Later that week, on a Saturday afternoon, Idara was home cooking when one of her neighbors suddenly rushed into her compound. Ubong's mother, where are you? Idara's neighbor yelled. I'm here. What is it? Is everything okay? Idara asked as she rushed to meet the woman who was standing outside her house. It's Ubong, oh, the neighbor responded. What about Ubong? What happened to him? Idara yelled again. They want to burn him. I couldn't find out what he did, but he is down the street, and the angry mob wants to burn him, the neighbor answered while trying to catch her breath. Oh, my son. Idara yelled, God, please don't let me bury that child, she added. Then, without even asking her neighbor for directions, Idara ran out of her compound to find Ubong. After Idara left her compound, it didn't take long for her to find Ubong because she had easily spotted the crowd from a distance. When Idara eventually reached the scene and saw that Ubong was on the ground with multiple injuries on his body, her heart broke, and she began to cry. Even Ubong was crying and begging the people to spare his life, but no one listened. Not only that, but the angry mob had hung a tire on Ubong's neck, and they were about to pour petrol on him and set him ablaze when Idara intervened. Are you enjoying this story? Tell your favorite part in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to turn on your notification button so you can get a buzz whenever we upload a new story. Please don't burn my son, what did he do? Idara asked no one in particular. She just knelt down beside Ubong and began to beg everyone. Madam, your son is a thief, and he deserves to be burned to death, a man from the crowd said. Oh. Yuko, is this coming from you? Don't you know Ubong? Idara asked the man. Idara had recognized the man. He owned a small barber shop where Ubong cut his hair from when he was young. Madam, we have to punish this boy. If we don't use him to set an example, other boys in this neighborhood will not learn, another man said. What did he steal? Please let me pay for it. You should not take away his life because he stole something, Idara begged. Idara expected someone to tell her what Ubong had stolen, but no one knew. It turned out that when one person raised the alarm that Ubong had stolen something, the people in the neighborhood just gathered and began to hit him without finding out what he had stolen. You people do not know what my son stole, yet you want to burn him. Idara yelled. Madam, no, they follow us talk like that. No, because we sabi you well for this area, nor why we they allow you talk, a tout from the crowd answered. Okay, I have heard you. Just tell me what he stole, and I will pay for it, Idara said again. Wait, let me go and get the woman who raised the alarm, one of the boys from the crowd said, and he took off immediately. 2 minutes after the boy left, he returned with a woman who owned one of the biggest provision stores in the neighborhood. I am here. This, your useless son, stole my iron sponge, the woman said. Iron sponge? Both Idara and the crowd asked in shock. Okay, how much is it? Idara asked, so I can pay for it, she added. It wasn't a new iron sponge. I was trying to wash some pots outside my shop when he came to ask for pure water, but as soon as I entered my shop to get him the water, he took my old rusty iron sponge, the woman explained. Chai. Madam, you know try oh. So now because of old iron sponge, you do make we design this boy body like this. If him mama no come here sharp, no so we for burn no, one of the touts said in a very disappointed tone. But he stole it. It doesn't matter if he stole a new or an old one, a thief is a thief, the woman tried to defend her actions. It's okay, Ma. I will pay for the old iron sponge. How much do you sell it? Idara asked. It's 50 naira each, the woman answered. Okay, I think I have that with me. Luckily for Idara, she had just returned from the market that afternoon, and she still had some money in the trousers she wore. Madam, I'm only collecting this money from you because you're my customer. If not, I know what I would have done to your son today, the woman said before walking away. Slowly, one after another, the angry mob dispersed, leaving only Idara, Ubong, and her neighbor, the one who called her to the scene. Ubong, have you seen the public embarrassment you brought to me today? Idara said while trying to hold back her tears. Auntie, let us take him home first and clean up his wounds, the neighbor said. Please, help me lift him up, Idara said, and the kind neighbor helped lift Ubong from the ground. Ubong was so badly beaten up that he could barely walk without support. When Idara and Ubong reached home, the neighbor left them and returned to her house. She claimed she wanted to go home and cook before her husband returned from work. Idara knew it was only an excuse to give her and Ubong privacy. Thank you very much, my friend. I don't know what would have happened if you didn't come here on time. Idara said. Don't say that. Nothing would have happened to Ubong, and nothing will. God is always by his side, the neighbor said. After the neighbor left, Idara burst into tears. She had been holding back the tears the whole time because she didn't want her neighbor to be worried. Ubong, my son, Idara called in a teary voice. What is really happening with you? Look at your whole body. Is this how you want to live your life? Mommy, I swear. I did not take that iron sponge. I don't know why everyone keeps accusing me of something I did not do, Ubong said. Ubong, how long do you want to lie? Idara asked. Even when you're caught red-handed, you do the same thing. You have ruined your reputation and our family name, yet you're still denying that you didn't do anything, Idara said. But mommy, I am telling you the truth. I don't know how it happens. I'm always surprised when people say I took something when I don't even remember taking it, Ubong said. I don't understand you. Do you mean that each time you steal something, you don't know that you're stealing? Idara asked in a concerned voice. Mommy, if you will believe me. Since I was small, I have never been conscious of when I'm stealing. I've tried to tell you and Daddy several times, but you wouldn't listen, Ubong said. Are you sure of what you just said? Idara asked. Yes, Mommy, I'm very sure and tired of this kind of life. I am a failure and a walking disgrace. Sometimes, if I see my classmates, they pretend they do not know me, and some even call me names. Ubong began to cry. Ubong, I am your mother and assure you that we will fix this. The enemy will not ruin your life. I will do whatever is in my power to ensure that you break free from whatever is making this happen, Idara assured Ubong. Let me go and boil the hot water I will use to massage your body, Idara said before leaving Ubong. Later that day, when Udo, Ubong's father, returned home and heard what had happened, he began to yell at Ubong for embarrassing them and spoiling his name. Now, the whole neighborhood will know that my son is a thief. I don't know what I did to God to deserve a child like you. It would have been better if you died as a baby than to be a walking shame, Udo said. Udo, that is enough. This boy is already going through so much, Idara said. Woman, will you shut up your dirty mouth? How am I sure that you're not the one sending him to steal? Udo growled. Look at the kind of disgrace this boy has brought to us. How do I even go out from today? Udo added. They say you stole an old iron sponge. Iron sponge, Ubong. What did you want to use that for? If I say I am disappointed, that's a big understatement, Udo said. Daddy, I'm sorry, but I don't. If you say anything, I will remove all your teeth with my shoe, Udo said angrily. Coco, calm down. We should even be thanking God that they didn't burn him by the time I got there, Idara said. Wouldn't it have been better if they had burned him? So I know that this useless thing is out of my life forever, Udo barked. Everything Udo said hurt Ubong deeply, and he didn't even know when he began to cry. Look at him. He is crying crocodile tears. Tomorrow, he will go and steal something worse. I hope you have seen what happens to thieves. Next time, you might not be so lucky, Udo said before walking out of them. Ubong, don't mind your father. He is just angry. I know he didn't mean anything he said, Idara said to Ubong. Mommy, Daddy is right. It would have been better if I had died as a baby than to be such a disgrace to myself and the family, Ubong said. Don't say that. You have a beautiful, promising life ahead of you. What's most important is that we find a way to help you. I talked to our neighbor, the lady who helped us today, and she said there is a church she can take us to tomorrow, Idara said. Will Daddy be coming with us? Ubong asked. You know your father, he will not. But as long as I am there, you will not have any problem, Idara assured him. Go to your room and sleep, we have a long day ahead of us tomorrow, she added. The following day, which was a Sunday, Idara, Ubong and their neighbor went to the church. Since Ubong and Idara wanted to personally meet the pastor, they waited until after church service. Before they went there, Idara's neighbor had already told the pastor that she was bringing someone to see them, so he was prepared. Good afternoon, Mo, please have a seat. Is this your son? The pastor asked. Thank you, sir, yes, he is, Idara responded. The Spirit of God just told me that this boy's problem is from his father, the pastor said. His father? Idara asked in shock. Yes, it's from his father. There was something he did to an old woman as a young boy, and the woman placed a curse on his last child, the pastor said. Pastor, I don't understand. Are you saying that Ubong is like this because someone cursed his father? Idara asked. Yes. In fact, if you go and ask his father if he did something to an old woman, he might not even remember. But if you ask him if he had ever entered an old woman's farm to harvest her plantain without her knowledge, he will remember, the pastor said. So, Pastor, what do we do now? This boy is suffering for something he does not know about. The worst part is that he doesn't even know when he is stealing until he is caught, Idara said in a desperate tone. Yes, I know. He steals things that are not useful. That's because of what his father did. The only solution is to bring his father here, and I will tell him what to do, the pastor said. Oh. I don't think that will be possible. His father doesn't go to church and he will not even like to follow me here, Idara said. When you tell him that if anything happens to your son, the blood will be on his head, he will come, the pastor said. Thank you very much, sir. I will do as you have said, Idara said. When Idara got home that day, she called Udo to their room and began questioning him. Coco, I went to a church today, and the pastor told me that the reason our son, Ubong, is like this is because of something you did, Idara said. I hope you didn't give him any money because there are no real pastors anywhere. Just liars looking for vulnerable prey like you, Udo said. Udo, I'm not here to play games with you, Idara said angrily. Did your pastor tell you what I did? Udo mocked Idara. Yes, you stole plantain from an old woman's farm, and she cursed your last child. Now, Ubong is suffering for what he knows nothing about, Idara said. It's not possible, Ene. I remember what you're talking about. It happened a very long time ago. That woman I stole from was rumored to be a witch, and I remember her cursing me. When she asked if I was the one who stole from her farm, I told her I didn't remember entering her farm, and she said something about how my child would steal and not remember too, Udo said. Oh. So it's true. All this while you had been accusing my family of being the reason for Ubong stealing, "You were the reason all along," Idara said. "Idara, I don't think that's why Ubong steals. It has nothing to do with the woman's curse," Udo said. "It has everything to do with it. Please let us go and see the pastor. He will help us break the curse or do whatever he can," Idara begged. "Okay, we can go and see him tomorrow evening when I return from work," Udo said. "Thank you, my husband," Idara said. The following day, just as Udo had promised, when he returned from work in the evening, he, Ubong and Idara went to see the pastor. Lucky for them, the pastor was in the middle of a prayer session when Idara, Ubong and her husband arrived at the church, so he prayed for Ubong first before he spoke with Idara and Udo. After the short prayer, the pastor told Udo what he had to do to break the curse on Ubong's head, and Udo did it. Then he told Udo to pray for Ubong and break the curse, and Udo did. Fortunately, Udo's heartfelt prayer broke the curse, and Ubong was free. The truth was that even though Udo acted tough with Ubong all the time, he was deeply worried about his son and he wanted him to stop stealing. So, when the opportunity to help Ubong presented itself, Udo jumped on it. Thankfully, with the pastor's help and consistent prayers, Ubong broke free from the curse and stopped stealing. Although Ubong was a bit behind his peers, he eventually completed his secondary school education, went to the university to study his course of choice, and led a very successful life. If it weren't for his mother, who refused to accept being a thief as Ubong's destiny, Ubong would have either died prematurely or he would have remained a useless thief until his old age because of something his father did. Did you enjoy this story? Tell your favorite part in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to turn on your notification button so you can get a buzz whenever we upload a new story. Thank you.